Greetings, peeps! FiOth here, and today I am privileged to be able to talk to the lead writer for Cronos, the New Dawn, Mr. Gregor Like, that you can see right beside me. Hey, Greg.
Hey. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I know you're still promoting the game very actively, so your time is precious, but it blew me out of the water. I expected it to be good, but I did not expect it to be that good. So I made it my mission, after making some resources for people like guides and stuff and streaming the game twice, to bring them as close to the mind behind the story as humanly possible. Super grateful that you replied and you were so cooperative. So I'm going to be asking you some questions, and
Sure.
we're gonna divide this into two parts, peeps. One will be more generalized questions, like, you know, about inspiration, the themes, ideas, and all that. And then when we go into spoiler talk, I'll put a huge spoiler tag on screen, so no one will be able to say that they were not warned and stuff got spoiled, okay? Because apart from the amazing atmosphere, the robust combat, and all that, what you really wouldn't expect to find in a horror game in this day and age is the multi-threaded storytelling that you're going after. Like, it took me by surprise, and I have almost no gripes with the game whatsoever. Like, I'm gonna tell you the absolute truth about my relation with Bloober games. I've played pretty much everything. There were some of the games that I really appreciated, like Observer, I appreciate very, very much. The Medium, I appreciate very, very much. Last year's Silent Hill 2 remake was my game of the year. I think it got robbed at the awards. And the voice actor, Mr. Luke Stevens was the name. Like, he did a phenomenal job with James.
Yeah, he's great. He's a great man. He's a great actor, man.
Amazing. We started streaming it last night. I'm gonna do 2 more sittings to just do 100% of Silent Hill 2 remake as well, because, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So this is like now it's like Bloober team season all over your channel now.
I tweeted about this. I was like, Bloober team's consuming my life these days, you know.
God damn it.
But I had other moments with Bloober's work, like, let's say, the Blair Witch Project, where it wasn't as enjoyable as an experience. I'm gonna put it like that. I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna be nice here. But
okay, cool.
Now Bloober cemented itself as one of the leading studios for the more high-profile survival horror and action horror experience, and I'm glad to be here to see it. So,
well, I'm glad to hear that. You know, we're very, you know, humbled by the whole thing that happens, because like it's a big change for us. You know, before we were kind of underdogs, and now it's just like a good feeling that people can trust us with games. You know, so that's
building
good.
Building trust is super important. And as I was playing through Silent Hill 2 remake, which, by the way, every human soul on this planet with 10 fingers should experience. And I was going through the paces, like relearning the combat system, because I only finished it once. It's a pretty beefy game back in the day. And I was like, this was the framework for the combat system in Cronos. They knew they had Cronos in the works, so they developed tech for combat, and now that combat transitions pretty much flawlessly into Cronos, and Cronos has amazing combat. It's not as demanding or specific as, let's say, Dead Space, that many comparisons are being drawn between the two, but it is very robust. It gets what it wants to do done, and you love every second of it. It's spot on, as is the difficulty, you little babies. Cronos is just fine when it comes to the difficulty. So
yeah, I mean, you know, when the guys who directed the game, like, and they thought about all the how you play the game, how the game will play, you know, they approached me and they said, you know, this one will be a bit harder than our previous one, just a bit more challenging, you know. And I was like, shit, that's bad for me, because I won't be able to test it, you know. I'm shit at playing games. And now, you know, and I said, like, how hard it will be. Like, Dark Souls or something like that, and they were like, no, you'll get it when it's ready, you know. And the production started and all that, and I got my hands on the prototypes, like one of the first prototypes, and of course it was a work in progress. But you know, at some point I figured that this is challenging in a completely other way. You know, it's more about being prepared and making quick decisions, and every kind of combat situation in the game, it's like a little puzzle, you know. And when you discover how to solve that puzzle, but you know, you need to act quick, it feels great because you feel smart, you know. You don't have to have like you know, like big agility or roll the fucking floor all the time or anything like this, you know. You just have to be aware of your environments, keep your you know, guns reloaded, things crafted and all that, and you'll be fine. You'll be fine because when you act as a traveler, you know, as travelers should, you know, it's all easy then.
Yeah, if the traveler was rolling on the ground like it's Gears of War, that would have looked like ass. Like, let's be honest about that. Yeah. Also, the person who brought the quick crafting into the mix for the combat system should get a Nobel Prize. Because playing Resident Evil 4 Remake, I love the game to bits. It's one of the greats of the action horror genre, but going into a menu to craft 5 bullets, it's torture. You definitely outdid them there. So we're gonna start with the basics here, and as I'm asking you some questions that I have you know, noted, we'll just have some organic convo, and I urge the people watching to just come into the comment section and ask whatever. Greg is super approachable and friendly, so I can relay a question, I hope, and maybe get an answer into the comment section. Excellent.
Yeah.
So,
no problemo.
One thing you've spoken about openly in the past is where you draw the broad stroke inspirations about Cronos. You know, the body horror and the merging and all that. It's pretty obvious that there are some solid staples of the horror genre in there, but I would like you to tell people where the core inspiration comes from, like the bare bone basics of, let's say, the merging, the presentation and all that. What was the core inspiration? What was the broadest of strokes when it comes to writing this story?
When we start concept art or story and everything, you know, I think we're very kind of picture oriented, let's say, you know. We're very visually sensitive in Bloober team, because, you know, in the past, okay, let's say our games didn't have a lot of gameplay, you know, but they were always kind of pretty, you know, because we have really good artists that make those games, and we you know, it's an absolutely must to have a game that is appealing in an aesthetical way to the player, you know. So so we started with this weird kind of picture that somebody showed us, a painting of a weird kind of, you know, astronaut, but in an absolutely ridiculous place for an astronaut to be. And I think it was some kind of a rural village or something like that. And we started to ask ourselves, and it was during, you know, the production of the medium, like years back, you know, and we were just starting to ask ourselves the question, why this guy is in that suit, in that village. Who is he? Is he a he? Maybe he is a she, you know? And I think that was the first kind of, you know, directions we took with Cronos. And years after that, you know, I mean, not years, but at the end of the production of the medium, our boss gathered us and said, okay, so now Silent Hill 2 is in production, you know. You need to figure out what this team, this part of the team that was making the medium, because we're divided in 2 teams, wants to do now, you know. And there was like we divided ourselves into groups kind of, and two most interesting like pitches for another game was a game about a weird virus on a block house, neighborhood.
The word block. After playing Bleak Fate Forsaken, I don't know if you know the game. It's an action RPG, huge scope, made by 3 people. One of my favorite games of all time. Slavic Orient,
All right, yeah.
They also come from the former Union. So they had these blocks, actually spelled B-L-O-K in these cases. Yeah. And when I started playing Cronos, I'm like, I'm back in the block, man. And it felt very close to home. Keep going.
And the other concept was about a time traveler, and we decided just to kind of merge them with each other, and we knew that it has to be completely different from Silent Hill to show the people that we are kind of, we need to do our thing now. We need to be original, and a Silent Hill was a game about diving into the mind of James Sunderland, so it was very psychological, and as Cronos is too somewhat psychological, because like psychological horror is just like in our kind of DNA. We knew that we need to go somewhere else, so we decided on more of a philosophical approach, ask questions about the whole humanity, go in kind of a cosmic scope of things and of horror, and then as Silent Hill is very kind of misty and ghosty and all that, we needed Cronos to be something different, so we decided to choose a different subgenre for it. And that subgenre of horror was obviously body horror, and the absolutely, obvious reference to that was the classic movie, The Thing. And it's just a movie we absolutely love in Bloober team. Sometimes we just watch it for fun. And obviously, like we also like Cronenberg, so it's all there, because you just want to have all the best influences in.
Yeah, man, you need all the cool shit in there. You know that critics took a huge dump on The Thing when it came out, and Carpenter still has something to say about that, because as it happened, I will always be mentioning this just to remind people how stupid certain outlets are. If you take 2 recent horror classics, Alien Isolation and Pathologic 2, they were sidelined because some moron didn't know what they were reviewing. So when you're talking about expressing ideas and art in general, take your impressions from people who know what the hell they're talking about, people. It's super important. Keep going, my man.
It's sometimes it happens, but that was it. And we just at some point we felt like in a candy store, so if this is us, we're not doing a remake now. This is completely us. We can just choose everything that inspired us as kids or gamers or game makers or artists at some point, from the 80s, from the 90s and all that, because these are the years we grew up in. And so Cronos became also kind of a love letter that connects all the things you love from your kind of childhood, from the VHS era and all that. And it's just like we were super conscious about it, not to be just amalgamation of things. It should be authentic and should be also like it work on its own,
Mm-hmm.
And I think we kind of regulated the whole thing to be something new, and not a copy of a copy of a copy, and still feel like home to many people, and to be appealing to many people, not only from like our generation.
It's true that in 2025 there's no parthenogenesis, like everything draws from something, and there's no shame in that. But as long as you can bring original approaches to the table, you're always contributing something. My happiest coincidence whilst playing this game was that when I saw the first trailer with a chess match with a lady, they're playing chess, and then the traveler gets up and she knows the traveler doesn't mean her harm, but when the claws come out, she's like, oh, that's gonna hurt, and I was super intrigued. And the last time I got super intrigued like that was with Remedy's Control, because when I was following Control, I was seeing all those cubic spaces with the lights. Those are unknowable, creatures and stuff, and I was like, man, this is gonna be weird and this is gonna be great. And you start Control, you hear the director speak, he does what he does in the intro. I don't want to spoil Control, although it's pretty established by now. And then you go through the office building, you see all the weirdness, you're like, what the hell? And then you reach pretty much your butler, that lady in the first safe house, and then everything gets like ham-fisted into your face. This is happening, this is the hiss. You know this, you can avoid it like that. And I'm like, no, man, that's not how you retain the Mista. You ruined it. And as I was playing Cronos, I detected all the nuance, like, that's weird. That's still weird. 10 hours in, it's still weird. Thank God. Thank God it's weird. And that comes to a head with the cat discussion. Okay, we have to mention the cat discussion. Because
of course.
You find the first important NPC, and they have this deadpan delivery of a little dialogue about cats. And at some point they even mention how cats like push stuff off tables and stuff. I was streaming that. Actually, Alec, the voice actor for that NPC, found my reel and reposted it. Thank you so much for that. And I'm like holding my head like this. And when the dialogue ends, I word for word say, who the fuck wrote this? Because I was blown away. I'm like, you have these two entities, you don't even know what they are, and they're talking about cats. Like it's the most important thing in the universe. How cats...
Is it not?
Well, to an extent it is, but how cats, sell themselves as unapproachable whilst they just want a little attention. They're clean, though. You don't have to worry about pollution. They will sometimes throw things off the table, but that's not the end of the world. I'm like, this is insane. Someone actually penned this, like, in a serious, with a straight face. And that's when I realized that there's a lot of soul behind the game. It's not just spooky, meaty, steamy crap all around. There was genuine inspiration about the world, its inhabitants, the quirks of the characters, and I was super pleasantly surprised. And that leads to the next question. The source of the original idea about time travel and what lies at its core is something you answered. I wanted to dissect it into two parts, but you covered me 100%. Now,
nice.
The design of the traveler is very unique. I actually had a lot of comments during my stream, and I was like, bro, the head, what the hell? And I told them, because FiOth is a well-educated individual, and I told them, when you want maximum robustness, the safest shape is a sphere. So considering that this character goes through who knows what with time travel and all, you want as much protection on the dome as humanly possible. Yeah, you want a spherical design. And is there something that you wanted to relate to the player with the way you designed it, like the respirator, like the breathing apparatus? You can see it beside me right here on my background. The design is overall very aggressive. It kind of makes you think. I've heard people say that, dude, the respirator apparatus, like it's like a vagina, like, you know. And I'm not saying this in a detrimental way, because, you know, whatever you can take out of the experience that leaves an impression, as long as it's not, you know, pretentious and counterproductive, it can be interesting. What did you want to relate to the player with the design? Is there something specific you had in mind when talking about the design of the Traveler?
Yeah, there are a few things that were very important to us while creating this character, you know. First of all, we wanted to create a character that is interesting, like visually, of course. And you can see that the main character is an amalgamation of H.R. Geiger and cassette futurism. So that's a lot of old school things going on there on that suit. And we wanted her to be very aesthetically appealing, interesting. So when you see the character, when you have like taste and you have the right taste, you go, oh, this is interesting, you know? And then further on, you know, we wanted to create something that when you look at it, you don't know if it's like aggressive or not, you know? What the heck is it? You know, is it going to kill me? Is it not, you know? And then put inside a character, you know, who is, you know, the main character. And now you play as a thing that looks well, kind of, you know, dangerous, you know. You're very, it's very unsettling, you know. So I think this was like an interesting approach. And of course, there's the other thing. Like, we wanted the player to feel very, very alienated from the very start of the game. You know, it was a big risk, but we were really willing to take it.
It paid off in spades, man. It paid off in spades.
Yeah. You start as a cold kind of lump of metal, you know. The characters' dialogues are very, very scarce and cold and all that, you know. But I think what Cronos really is at heart, you know, is a story about that character changing in the process, you know, of everything, you know. And I think that kind of enforced that kind of feeling that was very important at very beginning, you know. And lots of people were worried, like, okay, this is how the game will play through all, like, I don't know, 14, 20 hours, or how much do you want to spend in it, you know. And at some point they were very somewhere around the dialogue with the cats, you know, they discover suddenly, oh, this is not so sauté, you know, this is something else, this has juice in it, you know. You just need to dig in, you know. And it's all there, you know. I think we kind of took the Silent Hill 2 approach, like when people played that game, like way back, you know, they were still discovering those little nitty-gritties. And at some point, you know, the whole genre of survival horror started to be this, you know, discovering the truth, the true story, the metaphor through digging, you know. And we knew that this should be the backbone of Cronos, you know, to have it very very secretive and all that. But we promised ourselves not to create secrets that they have no answers in the game. So because that's bullshit. That's just, you know, that's
a lazy approach.
That's a lazy, that's the lazy thing, you know, to do. And we all love like Twin Peaks and all that. We love Remedy games too, so we really wanted to do that. And the journey of the traveler, I think works also very well because we were looking for the actress to do the traveler. And we figured like very quickly, like, let's just call a friend to do that, and the actress who's doing the traveler is the same actress that did Marianne in The Medium,
Yes.
And I think the thing she did with Cronos is just wonderful because she, Marianne, you remember her. She's just like she's interesting, she's funny, she's very warm, but and she's very down to earth, like a normal girl, you would say, like a girl next door or whatever.
One thing I appreciate about the game very, very much is that you have female characters, you have women in the game. I'm not gonna spoil which, who, what, but you present them as human beings. Like, the beautiful women objectively, as the guys are like, some of them handsome and appealing, but you didn't go the route of saying, let's make some sex dolls here to sell the game to the broader audience, which is something I greatly appreciate, and I appreciate that as well with The Medium. As you said, Marianne, she's a normal human being, and that is something I think we can spot easily in European productions more often than not. There is a certain level of respect at this point about the female representation, and it kind of reached the healthy point where we don't have to go either one way to prove something or the other way to please a certain part of the demographic,
All right, yes, but it's I think it's really I think that we wanted to tell a serious thing here, and we wanted to have like a serious reception, and when you do like kind of all this sexy thing, just to, as you said, sell things, it's I think it's kind of vulgar, and we didn't want to do that, and I think it's high time to respect each other,
It's high time we grew the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to say something wrong, but really sometimes when I see things on the internet, like people are commenting like, oh, it's like, you did that again with that character, and she's not sexy, how do I fap to that? It's just like, dude, I don't care, I just wanted to do my character justice.
The best attire to fight zombies in is a thong. Everybody knows that. Like,
come on.
That's it. Okay.
No.
So, go ahead.
No, it's fine. It's just like it's weird when you have like characters from Silent Hill, and those have like weird different backgrounds, horrible things happened to them in the past, and somebody on the internet is just like commenting on their looks, like having to absolutely miss the point of the story, and I think that's super weird. That's super weird because people care about games like that and still sometimes miss the point of it all, And I'm talking, about how people maybe reacted to Angela or something like that, So
my God, I remember that. Yeah. Like, they were looking at Angela having cheeks, and they were saying they fattened Angela up, and I was like, it's hopeless, man. It's hopeless. I can be roasty as all hell here, but I will move on because I have tact.
Yeah.
Okay. So, There's a really high-tech feel about the traveler's equipment in the game, but the scenery feels like it was taken out of a Soviet bloc, as we said before. Why was this specific era in Poland's history chosen as the time frame for the events? And either Soviet era or post-Soviet era Poland is something you dealt in the past, and in the Observer, it's kind of like how things would have turned out if history had taken a different course, you know? It's obvious, in case people don't get the memo, you are not a big fan of authoritarianism or totalitarian governments and stuff like that. You're not a big fan, and I'm not a big fan either. Why is this setting, apart from the fact that you're Polish people, you want a setting like that? Like, I suppose a big Greek production down the road would like to insert elements from maybe ancient Greek or modern history of our country, like, because I'm Greek, in case you're wondering about the accent. So why did you choose this setting? You could have gone any other way. You could have gone futuristic traveler in a modern setting. You could have gone futuristic traveler in the medieval ages, as you said. Why did you pick this period of time to present the game?
At some point, we really became like experts of putting Poland everywhere in our games, you know? and often we choose like the communist regime era for the setting of our games. We took that risk first time when we were doing the Observer, you know, and really we were kind of worried if this is a good kind of, you know, step for us. Will this be even interesting for someone that's not interested in like learning about Poland? Like, we were very conscious about not making our games like nothing like promotional or educational, you know, in a way, like from a program or something, you know. And what we discovered was that this like very brutal setting, you know, and I mean like artistically wise, not brutal. It was brutal in real life.
There is a bit of brutalism as well there, so everything ties.
Right. Yeah, it really ties well with a lot of aesthetics, you know, like cyberpunk makes this social realism very interesting, and so does cassette futurism, this brutalism and all, you know. And what we do, why we do that is, I think, for two reasons. And the first one is, in space, in modern gaming, modern movies, you feel like home. It's just like, you know,
absolutely,
it's always the same. Everything looks a bit different, but, you know, oh, so I'm in space, right? You know, and Cronos is not in space. Besides, every fucking thing is in space, but whatever, you know, it's not in the cosmos, you know. So yeah, that and you know, remember when we talked about alienation and all that's the other reason we wanted to, you know. So we choose that period of time because it was very you know, challenging for our nation, you know. It was very dark but very interesting too. And why it was interesting? Because people came together to overthrow, you know, a regime, you know, to cancel the government, you know. And it's a history, a very sad story, but with a wonderful ending, you know. And putting our characters in that setting, you know, I think it helps to create an environment where your characters are tested in a way, and you look for the best kind of qualities, personal qualities in them, you know, and they in this kind of darkness they shine very well. The sparks of kindness, the sparks of humanity, you know, shine very well, look very good in the dark setting, you know. And I think also Cronos is also a story about, you know, not only about saving humanity, but discovering humanity in yourself in the process, you know? This is what happens to the main character, you know? No spoilers, but
we'll get
she
there.
changes.
Yeah, we'll get there.
We'll get there, yeah. And I think, again, you know, Kelly Burke doing that character, when she starts off cold and then she changes, at the very, you know, end, we knew that Kelly will do a great job because, you know, Marianne was very emotional, you know, very warm and on that. And we knew that Kelly can, you know, provide those emotions, you know, and the change will be very, very visible. And thus the setting, the whole kind of thing, it all kind of worked together, you know.
Very audible as well. For the medium, I like the game very much, but the scene where she says farewell to her foster father at the very beginning, that gripped me by the gut. It was super well delivered. Did you also write the medium? Were you involved in that as well to the same extent?
Yes, I was one of the writers.
Bro, you're developing to be one of my favorite human beings. I'm a huge fan now. I'm a fanboy. So there is a...
one of the writers then.
Okay, that's something I don't want to be misunderstood, peeps watching. I don't want to say, because I know Greg, I spoke to Alec, like everyone involved. Okay, I foster immense respect for the people who made this possible, but I just don't know them all. I haven't come into contact with everyone. Yeah, so I would say, like, what's the name? Arkadiusz Rekowski was the composer for the music.
Right. Yeah.
Dude, keep doing what you're doing. Never change. Like, stellar work. Stellar work. When you get the mag boots and you start doing you start making your approach to the chasm to teleport to the time period that you're going after, it starts droning that ambience on the background, and it kicks in at the best possible moment. I actually made a short about that and uploaded it. I was like, just buy this. As you flip into the anti-grav field and you hear the ambience and you see the lights, and it blew my mind. So there is a lot of people that made this possible. A studio is not just Hideo Kojima or Glenn Schofield or Greg. It's a lot of people working their asses off, and equal respect should go in every direction.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
One simple thing about the story related elements that are not spoilery, because it becomes apparent pretty early, is that travelers, and you can see that from the extras for the DLC you can purchase, like the different outfits actually have names that point that there are specializations, let's say, to the travelers.
All
you
right,
know?
yes.
The Leviathans, the Vanguard, the Trackers, you know, the Praetorians, the Pathfinders, like they're different types of travelers. So is it safe to assume that we are not done here with this universe?
Yeah, well, the thing we did with Cronos is just like we really wanted to create the lore, you know, and we've done a lot of things there, you know. Some of them are, you know, almost everything is just like figured out now at this point, but some of the things are not, you know, very well explained in the game, you know. As like you at the very end of the game, you know, who the travelers are, and let's say who the wardens are really, and maybe the pathfinders really, you know, and all that. But we didn't have chance to like tell the players who the Praetorians are or the Trackers and what they do exactly. And I can't, you know, confirm anything, but I really don't want this whole lore we did, and we had really fun doing it, you know, to go to waste. So I would say if you know, if there's a chance for for another thing in this world, I wanna go. You know, I wanna do it because it was so fun, and I think when you have like a world like that with the time travel thingy there, you know, the time travel gimmick, you don't, you know, you can not only choose another place for the story, but another time, another era, you know, and that, you know, broadens the aspect of the world immensely, you know. You don't have to say like this is a prequel because now we're like in ancient Greece where it all started, you know. We just go there, and you know, and still we can continue the tale of the characters everybody loves, you know. And why not? Let's just, you know, let's just do it.
Man, this is amazing. I would like I'd sell my soul to the devil to see more of this universe. It really triggered my curiosity in all the best possible ways. Like the questions I have later are juicy as shit, but we have to go into spoilers. One thing before we go into spoilers, because I have a very good friend who always watches my stuff. His name is Psych. Shout out to my boy Psych. We have a kind of an inside joke because we played the Souls-like a while back before Cronos came out, called Wuchang. I don't know if you're aware of that game.
Of course, yes.
Yeah. It is the absolute Gunners game, and because before that we played Expedition 33. Did you play Expedition 33?
Of course, wonderful game.
Yes. And in Expedition 33, what you hear a lot of times is for those who come after, and we continue. They're the taglines, like the one-liners. And then we took that line, put it in front of Wuchang, and we're like, for those who goon after, because it's a Gunners game. But when we went into Cronos, it was two taglines again. It was let our work continue, and such is our calling. And I'm like, 2025 is gonna be the awesome one-liner year, because we had two great games with awesome one-liners. And you know, in gaming, you can have an interesting tagline, like for example, I'm Commander Shepard and this is my favorite store on the Citadel, for example. That's classic, but it's goofy. It's something that went in there as comic relief, whilst you have this operator's voice, that detached voice in your head. And you know, the moment the shutters come down and all the orphans are dispatched, and you hear that voice, like, let our work continue, it puts you in the mood with such precision. It's like, they are just unleashed here, these travelers, to do the work. That's their entire reason for existing. Or such is our calling, such a monodimensional, singular thinking process. Like, we're here, we'll pave the way, we'll do what we can. Exactly like Expedition. It's like very similar in concept, you know.
It is. Surprisingly close. Those two things came out, you know, into the world. And suddenly, when I was playing Expedition 33, you know, and it was like, I think a month before Cronos or something like that.
Very close.
They were saying this, and I was like, shit.
They're paving the way there as well.
That's our thing. That's not fair. But the game was great, and the emotion,
it's a freaking masterpiece.
You know, the actors were great, so I'm not mad at all. It
would be bad if it was in the Gunners game, I mean, but no, those games don't have such inspiration. Okay, peeps. Here's the kicker. Spoilers now for people who finished Cronos. You can safely keep watching, or if you haven't played Cronos, you can put it in watch later, this specific vid, finish Cronos, and then keep going, because now I'm going for the neck. Okay. You've been warned. All bets are off. So, Veronica, there's a discrepancy there. That mistake kept being made in the game. It was like Veronica. I'm like, make up your mind. But it's fine. Okay, Veronica is a traveler in a sense, okay? But she's not a traveler of the collective, because what we learn in the game at the very end of the game is that Veronica was affected by the change, and the Pathfinder who found his humanity through Veronica because he treated him like a human being wouldn't let her go no matter what he had to do. So in order to reconstruct her mind, because as he said, you will never stop, you'll find a solution because you will never stop, she became more and more corrupted as you know the jumps and the years passed by. So he filled her missing aspects with aspects of his own, and as a Pathfinder he was an agent of the collective, and he left that calling behind because he realized that the imperfection of humanity was their biggest strength. And in order to save Veronica from totally getting lost, he filled the void created by the change in her with a traveler's persona, pretty much, from what he was before. But that raises a few interesting questions, because when you wake up in the beginning of the game, you are in one of the sarcophagi, which is where the travelers reside until they are awakened.
Right.
Does that collective send those sarcophagi with inert travelers in them? Because the traveler is not a robot, but they're not human either, kind of a cyborg, I guess, because when you find them eviscerated, there is flesh, there is blood, it's not like machinery everywhere. Do they send those sarcophagi like a probe from the future in random locations or specific locations? They leave those cyborgs in there, sleeping, until they activate them? Like, are they everywhere, let's say?
Well, that's a very interesting question. And what is very important about the setting of Cronos is really that the vocation has stopped, and the whole kind of tech is not, let's say, in the golden age, you know? Mm-hmm. So what the warden is working with, you know, is just like, well, sometimes junk, you know. So this is, and we wanted the travelers to have this approach that, well, the resources are scarce, you know, because we wanted to that to resonate with the genre of the game, you know. So you're not provided with an unlimited amount of resources, you know. So yes, the at some point in the future, let's say, you know, our future, but were created by the collective. And,
it's an entity. It's not something made up. The collective exists in some shape or form. It's there.
It's there. It's there. And it's you know, and the things the Pathfinder says about the collective, well, they are pretty accurate, you know. And but the thing that Veronica at some point, you know, one of the kind of you know, approaches to recreate Veronica, you know, and was a surprise to the warden, because, well, she awoke on her own, you know. And it wasn't like induced by his laboratory, you know, mingling with the old project, you know. It's very crucial for the story, you know. It doesn't only make this kind of approach, this task, this particular task of bringing her back important. It makes it unique, you know, and you want to have a unique character in your in your game, in your story, you know. So the question is why she was awoken now by the collective, you know. is there still like a connection with the collective, that the warden doesn't know about, and there is, and there are a lot of kind of signs of that in the game. Like, for instance, the visions you see, they always happen when you extract somebody, and some of those visions are memories of the characters you extract, but sometimes you can see like memories of Veronica, or even some things that are not memories, but they are just visions, and those are induced by the collective. They are put there by the collective because the collective not only exists, it's real, but also I think is a crucial player in the whole kind of drama of the whole spectacle. He's an agent on his own, and he has a motivation. It has a motivation, and it pushes Veronica to some kind of some actions. How does he do it? Well, think of how the targets are chosen for Veronica. Are they crucial to discovering the whole secret of the change? Not really, but
yes, I want to talk about that.
Yeah, do they lead to Veronica discovering what the warden did to her? Well, yes, and
the voice that sounds at the beginning of the pitch black before you go into the sarcophagus says that the tools will be made to serve.
Yes.
They know they lost the Pathfinder to his own devices. Okay, the collective knows that. And when you start extracting people, the first person you have to extract is a conspiracy theorist. He's not Albert Einstein. He's not Alan Turing. He's a half-crazed, alcoholic, hobo-looking dude. And you're like, is this the most important person I could extract from Earth in the past? And then you realize the importance is that they're important to Veronica, these people. They are close to her. And in order for her to fulfill her mission, quote unquote, those are the players that, then you have to deal with Artur or Gabriel, like they're workers in a factory. It's not the president of the United States. They're two workers in a factory. And you're like, why are these people important? Like, who are these people that are so important? And that got me thinking. Also, another thing that got me thinking was that if the vocation has stopped, there are two things we can take away from that. They either achieved this singularity of thought and they are uploaded somewhere and they exist there and they have, how should I put it? They have concluded their search for perfecting themselves, like they're happy with what they are as a collective. Or they were sabotaged, but the voice you have as an operator in your head is in the sarcophagus where you wake up. And it could very well be just a recording detached from the collective. Like, just a voice there to do the Turing test on you, see that you're functional, and then set you loose to do whatever. It creates so many interesting questions. But at the end of the day, and that takes us into the next question, what really struck me as brilliant is that the phrase, I'm here to bring them back. Like, get the essences, bring them to the collective. It starts as a worldwide quest of huge scale. It's like we have to retain the essence of the human race. That's huge. That's a humongous task. And then it narrows down with laser precision just on the individual. You're not saving the world by the end, but you kind of save your humanity. You find out who you are at the end. Because, as you said, the voice actress, the last discussion she has with the Pathfinder before the final stretch, she's on the ground, like beaten, she's trembling, she's lost her mind after the discovery. It's like, how was this a mercy? I don't even know what I am. Like, I'm a shell with some flesh in it. What am I? And I'm like, dude, we started here to save the consciousness of the most important people on the planet. We thought we had to do that. And now we just have to give closure to this entity here who doesn't have a sense of identity. They don't know where they came from. That was super brave, narrative-wise, because people always feel like they have to save the world, man.
Yes, yeah, exactly. This is always what I say, you know. And I think this this approach is more European, I would say, you know, because it's very not Hollywood to end a story like that. And we really wanted to have this like more kind of a philosophical approach. At some points you have like this sparks of hope. Wait, will I save actually the whole humanity and all that? Because it's set up at some point when at the very beginning, you know, the traveler says like, she doesn't matter. You can't change anything. That changes nothing, you know, and all that. And she says that a lot on the beginning, you know. And at some point when they are like looking for the resolution for the whole secret of the Pathfinder, of the Warden, they are like, okay, maybe this will, you know, fix things, like, you know, bring not only the mission back, but maybe even stop the change and all that. So that's great news, you know. And when she finds the body of the Pathfinder, she discovers like all there is to it was just saving Veronica.
Yes.
And she's like kind of disappointed there, but she really understands what's happening, because okay, if you know, this is how we save humanity, you know, not fighting with the virus and all that, because maybe we can't change the past, and the whole kind of you know, fantasy of time traveler and that, it's false. It's just bullshit, you know. But what we can do is decide how we will face the end, you know. And when we do accept this, I think it's a beautiful beautiful thing, you know. And we wanted that thing to happen in the very end, you know. Okay, maybe I'm not a superhero, maybe I'm not Captain America, and now, you know, everything is all right. But, you know, there's a spark there. And maybe if we have another chance, okay, maybe it's not like super obvious, but with every kind of loop you're in, you know, there's some derivatives, you know,
a shred of hope.
Yeah, a shred of hope. And this is very beautiful. And we wanted that to be very sad, of course, yes, because we're Polish people and we everything is sad. But we wanted to really for it to be very, very poetic and very human, you know. And I think that was a better approach than Hollywoodify it, you know, in a way, you know.
It is.
So
have you played Soma?
Yeah. Back in the day.
There is a lot of Soma in Cronos. You know, at the end of the day, the only part of us that can survive is that databank around the sun with our consciousness uploaded there, and that is not so bad if you think about it. Like, the human experience is always something that has to do with your state of mind more than anything else. Okay, now about the change. In every game, the enemy is called something. Okay, so it's usually something that has to sound cool. In Cronos, the enemies are the orphans. And when the game starts, and I love the fact that if you don't run through the optional dialogues and the snippets of information, you probably won't know etymology by the end of the day. You will not know what this means and that means. Yeah. It's all optional. Yeah. But when you talk to the warden and he tells you, like, the orphans, why the orphans? And I'm gonna just relay info, and then you will elaborate, because you're the mastermind after all.
Oh yeah.
Those who didn't reach the collective when the ship was about to sail, let's say, were left behind, orphaned from the whole of humanity. And the change is an affliction that drives in a feeling of loneliness and desperation. And that's what the virus does. The virus wants to amass as many of its parts to to defeat the organism or take control of the organism, and that is what the orphans do. They merge, become more powerful, they create more biomass, and they overtake the planet at the end of the day. Yeah. That was extremely interesting because it points out that maybe before the collective wanted to amass just the best of humanity, maybe they wanted to secure the existence of all of humanity, but there was no time, maybe there were no resources, maybe they could never reach a facility that would do that, like a terminal would be there to upload their consciousness, because the terminal is a very important part of the story. So,
it is.
There is a two-part analogy to the change. The change is a virus that acts like a virus. It tries to spread at its critical mass and just kind of overtake everything. But it's also a very sad state of being for those left behind, because they were abandoned in a sense, Yeah. How did you reach that point with your story to present the enemy like that?
Yeah, we didn't want it to came up with another a monster like a zombie, But what we really took from zombies is that again, in good zombie movies, you have the dilemma: is it still a human being, or it's the person is long gone, and he's not a member of your family anymore, and the character often decides, okay, this is the time I need to shoot that person, because it's not a person anymore, it's a zombie. Yes. And all that. And we really wanted to create some dilemma like this, but it was in the very first kind of drafts of the story, and as Cronos grew and Cronos became more of a cosmic philosophical thing, we decided that the orphans, as we call them, should be very much connected to what the collective is, And the warden dialogue, I think it sums up pretty well what the whole thing is about. And I really, if you want to understand everything in the game, just talk to the warden. It's everything is in it, everything. And in that particular dialogue, you will also discover what the collective is, and from where it kind of sparked the whole thing. And the other place where you when you can find it, is the church, because the nun, weird nun, will tell you things. She speaks in riddles, but it's all there, And at some point, people there say something about shedding the feathers of flesh, So this is basically what the collective at some point became, They shed the flesh, But to do that, they needed to become the hideous cocoon, So that was the change. And some of the people were left off, and now, so there's a question, is the collective now in some need of those people, because the orphans were left outside the whole party, and now you have like Edward, Arthur, he's his brother, the doctor, or whatever, and at some point, you think maybe the collective lacks that souls, that essences, because it's sci-fi, so they are essences, or the game is about something different, and as the Pathfinder says, like, well, no, there's only hunger, that they are just hungry for the fruits of the work of the travelers, and that's a big hint for everything. It's all of course it's perspective of the Pathfinder, but it's a big hint. I can go for ages with that, but it all makes sense when you just go through the notes and all the things that happened to those people, because the whole story is made like it's not a coincidence that you meet those people at those time jumps are on certain stages of the epidemic, of the
Yes.
of the end of the world, so yeah, there are a lot of things there, and I'm still very surprised that people who play the game through and through now at this point didn't discover everything, because they're I almost like asked one guy on the internet asked me, like, okay, so this changes this is it came from a hole in the ground because the Russians did a borehole in somewhere in Tatra Mountains or something like that. I was like, no, this is a red herring. This is an obvious red herring. You get that information on the very beginning, but then you will discover another information that it's more plausible, and still some of the people are, very few people discovered that information, but it's almost like, duh, that's the information,
So to settle it for people watching, and if you're watching for more like an hour, if you're watching a video on YouTube for more like an hour, thank you for retaining every part of your brain. We're very grateful to have you as a viewer. So it's safe to say that the collective was some initiative by some people at some point in time, okay, who wanted to transcend humanity, let's say. They had to go through a change, which is also what the disease is called, in order to shed the material and progress into an immaterial state that is eternal, because eternity is a very important aspect of Cronos.
Yeah.
In order to go through that process, they probably involuntarily created the change as we know it, as the threat, and the people who would not ascend would be left behind to literally rot as orphans in a decimated planet. Is that the long and short of it?
Yeah, that's very, very good. Beside the fact that, well, I don't think the collective was an initiative. It happened. And why it happened, well, that's still a secret. But
yes. Okay. I thought I missed something. Like, what did I miss?
Like, you remember the last Red Realm scene with Angela, when
with
the
baby,
with the baby, and she channels the doctor, and the doctor says in his notes, in his kind of recordings, he says, like, all right, this feels weird. I don't know any virus that works like this. It's almost like from another universe, from the beginning of the damn universe and all that, And two, when you find Veronica's note, like, I'm an expert virologist, and I still don't know how to create a serum for that and all that, and in that limbo, the traveler asks well, the doctor, but he's in body of Angela. She asks him, did we to bring the sickness to the world? And he says, no, I believe it was always here.
In us.
And by here, in us, you know.
Yes.
That's a crucial thing to all that. It was more of a, let's say, a gene.
A natural evolution of things.
Yeah, because that's what the warden says. The warden says, those who didn't catch up on the train of evolution. Yeah. And the other very interesting thing that the warden says in that particular dialogue is that everything needs change to to exist. To
exist in a healthy state, motion. You have to be in motion. Yeah.
And imagine if you're the kind of you have all your civilization. You have become this hive mind. You're the collective now. You know, you shattered the fetters of flesh and all that. You know, and at some point you're perfect, and that's it. And you'll be just perfect through to the end of the time.
Stagnation, total stagnation, without any hope of evolution or change or anything.
Yeah. So
let me make a wild guess. So the traveler's mission is to bring in more variables, because that is the only thing that brings some sort of satisfaction or the chance of improvement or differentiation to an entity that feels or thinks that it's reached a plateau and there is nothing to be done, nothing to be thought, nothing to be experienced. It's just pointless, stagnant flatness for the end of time, right?
Yeah.
That's fucking brilliant, man. I appreciate this whole thing so much. And one amazing detail that I noticed throughout the dialogues with the warden, because people think of the final boss of every video game as the biggest player, you know? This is the big bad. This is the guy that orchestrated everything. This is the devil. But the Pathfinder in reality is a very small pawn and a victim to what was orchestrated. And when he's asked by the traveler that we control, like, she asks the warden as well, did we cause this? And he's like, we're just the aftermath of this. We're just the tools that those responsible, those surviving the calamity, send back to bring them back, to feed them, to provide for them. So in his, let's say, he's not being as dependable as a narrator as we would have liked, because he's super biased. He's the most biased entity, he gets that right. He's like, there's no way we caused this. Like, we are pretty much sterilized throughout the process of getting here. There's no way we caused this, but we came here to do something. And he also mentions that the work in itself is the reason that, like, a reason for existing, and the ability to perform it is interconnected. We pretty much always add something to the process. So it's so easy to leave gaps in this or fuck it up, and you didn't. How many years did it take to make this airtight? Like, to write it to a point where you were like, this is not a mess, this now works just as it is?
Oh, well, you know, I think... well, we wrote that about 2-3 years or something like that. We created the first draft, and to be absolutely honest, the first draft were pretty shit, you know.
Time travel starts as a mess, man. That's unavoidable.
Yeah. It was pretty bad in kind of context of creating the narrative. But what we salvaged from that was the actual kind of lore thing. and then we needed that lore to fit into the, you know, the game, you know. But that is what we salvage, and I think there was no kind of error in creating that first draft, because this is what the first draft are for, you know. They not only show you where to go, but you know, the most important thing is that they show you where to not go, you know.
The seed of creation, it's the start. Yeah.
It was very different, you know. The traveler was a man, and didn't work as hell, you know. Lot of different things. Very kind of ending with kind of facing the collective, or saving.
No, bro. That's like making The Last of Us Part 3 and going to find the lab where a miraculously cure can be developed. Like, it would be horseshit. Like, I'm glad it didn't go there.
Yeah. And we said, like, no, we don't want to do that. You know, we want something different, something more sophisticated, something that will urge people to ask for more, you know, to have this kind of feeling of hunger when you end that game, confusion, but in a good way, you know, and all that. So we changed a lot of things. A lot of things started to click there, and then we you know, we very much crafted the dynamics between the characters themselves, you know, and then the actors came, and you know, it was throughout the whole process we were very conscious that this is a very, you know, fantastic in a, you know, sci-fi thing, you know, but still it has to have heart, you know. It has to be about people, you know, because, you know, otherwise you just don't care, you know. And with that type of ending that we always you know, that we already established, that you're not saving humanity as multiple people, you know, but humanity at its core, you know, here, you know,
our essence.
It's a different story. It's really like, you know, more of a poem thing than you know,
up to the last moment at the last battle. Like, we have 3 endings, 2 of which are total depression, like it's the nightmare scenario, and then you have the true ending that leaves the window open for something brighter. And when you fight the final fight and you defeat him, he falls to his knees and he's carrying the time-splitting sickle. This reminds me of Pullman's books, like the, you know, it became a series, his Dark Materials.
All right, okay.
I don't remember the book's name. I don't think it's the Golden Compass, it's something else. I don't remember, but great stuff. There was a scalpel there that would split time in 2, and here we have the sickle that literally splits the time stream, and you can go. He falls to his knees, he raises the sickle, and you're like, is this gonna be some last moment boasting by the final boss guy? And his voice is erratic at this point, like amazing work on the voice acting there. It goes something between dramatic and deranged, sad as all hell. He just lets it drop to the ground, like, let me fix it, because in his mind, he still feels like the copy of the copy of the copy of the copy will be the solution to a flawed equation that cannot be solved. And he lets it drop. You have a choice to make. And I was holding my breath, like literally dude, if he grabs the sickle and goes for her throat, that will be a fucking disaster. But he's, man, because it would have been like cringe as hell. But you make your choice, and if you spare him, he picks it up, he cuts time open, he turns, sincerely says, I'm so sorry, promising that he will not keep doing the same thing, but he will provide his abilities to Veronica in case she can fix it. When they make the jump, Veronica is affected by the change. And that ties into your explanation that maybe that time jump is the trigger where you either go that way and become a part of the consciousness, or you go that way and you become a blob of meat. And Veronica is affected by the change, but he's dead. He's pretty much destroyed. And he gets a backup copy of himself from days ago, and he has no recollection of his promise. Like, I promised I'd stop, but that Pathfinder never made the promise. He gets up, he goes over her body, and he's like, I'm not gonna lose you, I'm gonna fix it. And the claws come out and it fades to black. I shot myself, man. I was like, this is amazing. It's super sad, but it is amazing. The other ending is that... Go ahead.
It's called Cronos, you know?
Yeah.
And a lot of people think that Cronos means the god of time.
Mm-hmm.
And
like,
it's the Titan, you know, the king of gods, you know. And
his children. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, it's the self-fulfilling prophecy, you know. He did everything to not that prophecy get fulfilled, you know. And this is what he gets, exactly what he gets, you know. And this is the word in this.
Peak cinema, you know? Dude. It's so multifaceted. This is why he has
the sickle. This is because Cronos is the god of harvest.
Yeah, it's so multifaceted, and it's so exciting. In the other ending, Veronica ends up just seeking intimacy from Edward, because the change, that's what the change does. It wants you to get close, to grab the next person, facilitate the change, and that's the destruction of the human race as well. And the last one is that who knows what happens. It's open to what they do, to how they manage the time they have left. They're both there, both sides of the same coin, like Veronica as the scientist and Veronica as the traveler. But at the end, you hear the collective say the tools that are not willing, they will be removed, as the Pathfinder was taken out of the equation because it didn't fit their agenda.
Yeah.
It's airtight, man. It's such an exciting thing to experience. And I want to urge people who nitpick, because, you know, when you created Silent Hill 2 Remake, there came the nostalgia horde to nitpick and you know, eviscerate all the great work done behind it. And I was saying yesterday during my stream, I'd love to have you in the next stream if that's at all possible. And when you are in the graveyard with Angela, and it's like, I think I'm lost, and she's like, lost? In the original, she sounded like someone on crack. And the thing is, we didn't have the tools back then. To bring those emotions forward, limited by the technology, by the quality of the voice acting, because those people were not all professional voice actors, you know, back in the day.
They were. Yeah, that's true.
And now you hear the nuance in her voice, and it's like, she's a young woman with the mind of a child, abused. She's just in a perpetual state of fear. You can hear it in the, and then you go back to the original, like, lost? Like, what the fuck? That's not what it was intended. I'm pretty sure, you know. So if you're nitpicking this art form to find errors, you'll always find errors, and errors is the only thing you're gonna find. But if you go with a positive mindset, look what they have crafted here. I'm not paid by Bloober, man. I just appreciate art when I see it. You know.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
No, thank you, man.
I'm very honored, man. This is so much fun.
I'm so glad.
I gotta say, it's a big relief to finally, after 4 years of working on this, just to talk about the story with someone. You know, it's just awesome.
You do me a great honor. I came to Cronos right after Hell is Us. Okay, Hell is Us is a super brave game. It's a game that respects the intelligence of the player a lot. It crafts a narrative that will go into super dark places.
Cool. I never played that before, you know.
It's brand new. You should give it a go. And I was like, man, this process of thinking, analyzing, presenting the breadcrumbs for me to decipher, is healing my soul, because that's what I feel when I interact with a medium, that the parts of the medium that hold some merits, you know, because you're gonna play 1,000 games of Halo multiplayer, you're gonna play 1,000 slopfest, collectathon, whatever the fuck they're gonna be. But games like Expedition, games like Cronos, games like Hell is Us, you know, they feed the core of our existence. It's not fun, it's entertainment. They're totally distinct words, especially in Greek. You have the askedasi, which is like having fun, and entertainment, which is psychagogia. It's ascending your soul, the state of your soul, like a transcendent experience. And that is something that people don't get. You can nitpick and find the flaws. It's a bit too difficult. There are not many bullets lying around. The Lumen GI is a bit rough on the hardware. And then you got the core of the creation, and you're like, listen to all that inspiration. It's, oh man, we're still here, man. Serious gaming is still around. It might be somewhat limited when it comes to the greater whole of the crap we're being fed, but we're still alive. Thank you so much. People, I took enough of our man's time here. I hope we kinda plugged everything they might have, you know, they might have wanted to know.
I'm very afraid I just spoiled the whole thing for the whole world. So please, you know, if
we had a spoiler tag. We had a spoiler tag.
Put it really hard there, you know.
No, it's gonna be the whole screen, I promise.
Yeah, just cover everything with spoiler sign. But yeah, I think still there's a lot of things to explore in Cronos, you know. Like, you know,
my biggest hope going forward about this game, apart from providing additional ways to experience it, like I would like to see new game modes, not multiplayer and crap like that, like either narrative related or something that would allow us to sink our teeth into the gameplay part of the experience, because it's very robust. But my biggest hope is either an expansion or a sequel that will just show more of the people, more of the travelers, more of the collective, more of the something. But it is so open-ended and you know, provides so many opportunities for exploration. It's great. I think that everyone who came to this title with honesty and the predisposition towards thinking rather than shooting stuff is gonna it's gonna live with a very warm feeling inside them. Is there anything you want to say as a closing remark before we let them go?
Oh, I don't know. I had such fun, you know, during this interview. I think that was the best one I did throughout the you know, the campaign and all that. And it all started with just like I was looking through Twitter or what the fuck it's called right now. I don't care. And I saw that dialogue with the cats, and I was like, oh shit, I want to hear what this guy wants to say about it. You know, I was like, oh great, you know. I sent that to Alan, who's the warden in the game, and he's like, yes, this is beer material, this is good, you know.
Yeah, like I was like, you know, when you say I want a stiff drink after this day, and you go and dude, it was a spark, you know. I was kind of tired, it was late, and that happened. I was like reinvigorated, and I kept going for hours. The second playthrough, I did the entire game in 2 sittings on hard, and guys, I urge you, go experience this. Like, there are very few examples of such depth in storytelling in such a contained experience, because Cronos is not a game that will take 100 hours to complete, and you have to look behind every bush and, you know, lose track. There is an argument that kind of became mainstream a few years ago, and I always mention it. When Uncharted released, especially Uncharted 2, which is considered a very high offering in this genre, You had a very, very interesting flow of events, but every here and there you had to stop, look behind the rock to find the collectible. Distracting you from what is important. And Cronos never does that. It doesn't break pace, and it is laser focused. People make analogies to Dead Space. What Cronos has in common more than anything with Dead Space is the pacing of Dead Space 2. You feel like if it's 5 hours for Isaac, it's 5 hours for you, and that's Cronos. Cronos never goes out of character. You're there from start to finish, and it never breaks a beat. Guys, go experience high art. We desperately need it in this day and age, more than ever. Thank you so much, man. This was amazing. Big cinema. I will personally invite you to one of the streams, and we're gonna have a great time.
Okay, I will be there. I will be there, man.
Excellent.
It's cool.
Guys,
it's so great. So much praise. My head is gonna explode, man.
I'm so glad we had to share in this really wholesome interview. Guys, you know the drill. Subscribe, follow for more content like this. Cronos will be back on the streams, I promise you. I just let it breathe a bit, you know, because there is too much of a good thing. And any questions, any ideas, whatever, leave them in the comment section below. I will relate to Greg and we'll answer everything we can. Thank you so much for watching for the better part of an hour and a half. You're the GOATs. Thank you, brother. Until next time, be well, stay frosty, and always strive for perfection. Cheers.